Hi guys, welcome to this video about the devastating helicopter crash which killed Kobe Bryant and 8 other people, which is a really sad story. And now a lot of people are worried about safety of helicopter flights. It's a big topic now, and I also did a little bit of research on that, and I found a few really interesting things which I wanted to share with you. Yeah, let's start with some kind of statistic that's from boardpanda.com, and we see that when it comes to transportation, then we see that the normal airlines like commercial flights are the safest, which starts with 1. Then we have some like intercity rail. Amtrak is pretty safe still. Then scheduled charter flight, and here we have it, helicopter flights. Yeah, that's a pretty bad thing. I mean, 63, as far as I understand, that means it's 63 times more risky to fly in a non-scheduled helicopter flight than in an airline. I mean, we know, of course, airlines are super safe, and yeah, 63, it's somewhere in the middle. I mean, to get an impression about what it could mean, driving or riding in a car or SUV has a value of, a death index of 453. So it's even much more unsafe or much riskier than flying in a non-scheduled helicopter. I mean, a lot of people are not flying helicopters on a daily basis like Kobe Bryant or so, but some people, or like I would say a lot of people, are taking helicopter flights when they go to, let's say, Grand Canyon or New York City, Manhattan, or maybe to Hawaii. Then they are, or maybe for marriage, some really special occasions which really make sense to use a helicopter, I would say. And then it's good to know how safe they are. So it's a little bit a special thing. So you see, it's not super safe, but also not super risky. So where is actually the risk coming from? That's really interesting. I mean, when we go to air travel in general, we see there was an increase in fatalities or in risk in air travel. And then it came down in the last couple of decades because, of course, improvement of safety in the aircraft and all the regulations and better training. I mean, when they started in the early last century with like airplanes and helicopters, there was not much like certification. There were not many rules, not like all the safety things. They were not double and triple in the helicopters and in the aircrafts, and so there was a lot of risk. And now after that they started to find out how to improve, and now you see the air travel in general has become pretty safe in the last couple of years. But we can still see a lot of helicopter crashes, and a lot of people are worried in general when we go down and see the trend from helicopters as well, just dedicated to helicopters. The safety has been improved, and so the number of accidents and also fatal accidents have come down quite a bit. Now, when we check the statistics a little bit more, we have really good information here. That's from slate.com. And that's also the question, do helicopters really crash more often than planes? Yes, helicopter crash at a slightly higher rate than aircraft overall, according to data collected by National Transportation Safety. We have an average for everything like airplanes, helicopters, balloons, blimps, and everything else. It has an average of 7.28 crashes for every 100,000 hours of flight time, and for helicopters alone it's on 9.84, which is a little bit above, but still it's not comparable to normal like commercial aircrafts, which are probably much lower, because this is just the average and has everything like even single engine piston planes, which are even 10 times more likely to crash than jets. You can see even with airplanes there is a huge really a huge variety in safety when it comes to jets. And I think the normal aircraft, the commercial airlines, the big planes, they are the safest in the air, and there is a reason for that, of course. When it comes to reasons why helicopters are actually more dangerous than usually planes, and especially commercial planes, then there are a couple of facts. Here is one thing: helicopters have a lot of moving parts, and more moving parts than airplanes actually. And the problem is helicopters usually do not have a lot of redundant or duplicated systems like planes. Like a commercial airplane, they have at least 2 engines, some have even 3 or 4, and most of the other things are implemented double or even triple. And usually helicopters, they do not have this. They have just the main engine and the rotor tail rotor, gearbox, drive shaft and everything, and this is not double. If just one thing of this fails, the helicopter can spin, get out of control and drop, of course. Then of course helicopters are trickier to handle than airplanes. That's of course a fact. It needs much more experience to steer a helicopter than a normal plane, at least at the beginning. And there's one more thing which is really important, of course. Helicopters are usually operated on a low level, and on low level you have a lot of obstacles, of course, and there's not a lot of safety. When you are flying really low, if something happens, you almost have no time to react or to do anything. The safest place usually in the air is just when you are up in the air. So let's say we have 2 places, like we have the starting site, the A, and we have a landing site where we want to go, like B. And usually with a plane you have the takeoff, and then you are in the air for long time, sometimes hours, 10 hours, 15 hours or so, and then you go down. And the most risk is here during start and here during landing. And here, when you are up in the air on a certain level and you start the descending, here in between there is almost 100%, it's almost 100% safe to fly. There are some cases where something happened, but usually there is almost no risk up in the air for a plane. When you are up like 30,000 feet up in the air, and let's say you have something happens here, if an engine fails, it's no problem, you can go back. If 2 engines fail, even then you can glide down. There is, depending on the altitude you are, where you are, it can easily be close to 100 miles and you can reach maybe an airport. And it's a little bit a different thing. If you would have same thing with a helicopter, let's say you are here at 33,000 or 30,000 feet, and the engine or something breaks, but you are still in control of your helicopter. A lot of people are worried about when the engine stops of a helicopter, but it's actually no problem. If you would be up in the air here, it could go slowly down and find a landing place and have even a safe landing. And this is something which is called the auto rotation. We see it here in a quick video Yeah, there is the auto rotation, and a lot of people are really worried about what happens when the engine stops, but it's actually no problem. We can see this in this video. I'll put down the link to that into the description, so you can see that. Here we have an example where some experienced pilot went up to 1,500 feet in the air and stopped the engine, and then this is what happens. Hope you can see that. Yeah, here's not much going on. It's a little bit spinning, then he is gaining control again, even without power. You can see that here. And he's going towards a landing site, and it goes down really fast, and the engine, I mean the rotor, is spinning fast, and at the end he uses the flaps to use the power stored in the rotor to stop the descent, and he could make a nice landing. Of course, he started to throttle again and bring the helicopter to a hover, so that was not the total simulation of an engine failure, but really close to that. You see the descent when it was going down, and he was able to stop the descent really pretty quickly. Like now we can see that here, so you don't have to be worried about that. So helicopter pilots are trained to do that. Of course, there's not much time to react. They have to be really fast on that, but if the engine stops, there is some mechanism which decouples the engine and the rotor, and so the rotor can freely spin, and when it goes down, when the helicopter goes down, the air is accelerating the rotor blades, and they have then a really fast speed, a high speed, but they are still flat in the air, and at the end, short time before it would create a crash, they can use the flaps of the rotor blades to stop this and make even sometimes a really smooth landing. So we can use we can see this in another YouTube video. I'll put down also the link to that into the descriptions. You can see what happens usually. It starts going down. You have to stop this, of course, using the flaps, and then it makes this move, and then with the remaining power stored in the rotors, you can have even a really nice smooth landing in a perfect situation. But of course it can be tricky because you never know what's underneath. I mean, the problem with that, you're usually on a pretty low altitude, and mainly it just goes down. It's not the same thing as you were in a commercial aircraft on 30,000 feet where you have 100 miles and you can go down on a 1 to 10 angle about. That's a different thing with a helicopter, but still you have a really decent survival chance. So where is then the risk really coming from crashing in a helicopter? So again, back to the situation where we have the starting and the landing site, and with commercial aircraft we go up and are in the air and then coming down. With a helicopter, usually that doesn't happen. We usually they go up and they go down just after 5 minutes or 10 minutes. They have usually much shorter distances. They do some transportation, like from point A to point B, which is like 5 miles, 10 miles, maybe 15 miles, but not thousands of miles. That's a different thing. You go up and down and up and down. You are not on usually on 30,000 feet. Usually they cannot even reach that altitude. So here in this area you have also mountains, you have a lot of obstacles, you have homes, you have power lines, you have cable car wires here, you have really bad vision sometimes here, like exactly in this case which we had during this crash, really a lot of fog or low-hanging clouds. Here on top, the air control will tell you where to fly, and then you can use the autopilot, and it doesn't matter if you have bad vision, because the highest mountain, they are maybe here on this altitude, and no matter where you are much above the highest mountains. Here with the helicopter you are much lower, and you are where hills are, where mountains are. And if you have like a bad vision, like in this case here, you can definitely hit something, and you don't have this assistance also. Sometimes you are too low. Sometimes when you have bad vision with a helicopter, you can ask air control to assist you if there's something close to you, because you cannot see other aircraft. But here in this case, I think they were flying too low, and the air control hasn't been able to assist. And also in general, I mean, the idea sometimes of helicopter rides are to help, I mean, to save people when they are stuck in the mountains, like when they do climbing and they are stuck in the mountain, they have to be rescued or rescued out in the ocean or whatever. Then they have to go close to the ground, and sometimes in really bad situation, bad weather condition, they cannot wait, they have to go out and save the people. So that's where the problems are coming from. So actually you don't have to be worried about if you are taking a helicopter ride in good conditions. I do not recommend to go, I mean, if you are at some area where you want to have a helicopter ride but the weather is not good, I mean, there's not much sense to make a helicopter ride in bad weather anyway. So yes, just stay away from difficult weather conditions if you do a helicopter ride. And usually they do not have these collision detection systems. If you have two planes, one here coming and one here coming, exactly in the same altitude, same area, and they have usually all the new aircrafts, all the new commercial aircrafts, airplanes, they have collision detection. And even if the pilots do not do everything, then one plane will go, it will climb up, and the other one will go down, so to avoid any collision. So helicopters, they usually don't have such systems. But in general, again, helicopters can be pretty safe when operated in safe environments, safe weather, safe condition, because especially of these auto rotation features, which a lot of people are not aware of it. And that's really good to know. This auto rotation is a really nice feature, and it's not a trick. I mean, it's not a scam or something like that. This is really something which exists, and you can even try this at home. It's pretty interesting. And that's these paper helicopters, and they use exactly same physical forces. Yeah, you can test this with these paper helicopters. We have here a YouTube video. I'll also put down the link for everything into the description, so you can check it out and maybe create something like that on your own. It's really fun to do that. And it's really easy, it's super easy, and you can do this at home with your children, with your grandchildren. Doesn't cost a lot of money. Here you see it really slowly. You just need a small piece of paper, and then you start drawing. But you can actually start cutting right away. You don't have to do really a drawing. You just cut along here and here and here. You will see that I'm going a little bit further. There are actually, I think, just 3 cuts needed. Yeah, just 3 cuts needed, and we can see that here, and the helicopter is almost ready. Here at the bottom we flip it around to have a little bit more stability, and then we can just throw it into the air and watch how it comes down. Yeah, this guy even uses a tape here, but it's actually not needed. And then you shoot it into the air, and you can see it starts spinning. At the beginning it goes down a little bit, couple of inches usually, till it finds this force, and then it starts rotating. Sometimes it goes even much better. Depending on the size and the shape and the design, you can try a little bit around with that to find the perfect size for you. I would I have usually used a little bit smaller rotor blades, but you can try it out. They have a little bit more power, or create more power, stay longer in the air. You can, what you can do, what's a really nice thing is when you have some kind of upwind. So usually that happens, let's say if you have wind coming, let's say from the south, and you are on the south edge of a building, then you have some upwind. You can throw your helicopter in the air and it stays in the air even sometimes for a couple of minutes. It's really fun to watch, or close to another high building, or like a bridge or something like that. Just make sure you collect everything after that, so you do not create any waste, you're not leaving stuff. But it's really nice to do that. Now, nice to see that here we have even a video where two guys really explain how this works in detail, all the physics, and I think it's a nice thing to do that, and play that with the children and explain how it works and how helicopters are adapting that, and it's a really a fun thing. So I think definitely it is safe to say that helicopters in general are pretty safe. Not it's almost impossible to have same safety as with normal commercial aircrafts, but they can be pretty safe when operated with fully certified helicopter pilots. When they are operated in safe environment and not too close to buildings and cables, wires whatsoever, and in safe weather conditions. So it really depends on who it does and where you do it, because really helicopters are actually pretty safe. I just wanted to let you know about that, and I hope I was able to give you some kind of peace of mind or relaxation. If you're planning for a ride with a helicopter, you don't have to be worried. Just make sure that it is in a quite safe environment, especially regarding weather conditions. So that's it for now. I hope I was able to help you a little bit with that. If you have any questions or comments, just write to the comment section below, and I'm always happy to talk about these things. And if you like the video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.